This Year on Thacker and Joker was one of those movies that came out that surprised everyone. When Joker was coming out back in 2019, there was actually a good amount of controversy surrounding this movie. A lot of people were worried about this film, that maybe a movie like Joker shouldn't be released because of what its themes and messaging could inspire. No joke, in some of the screenings of this movie, there were police officers at the screenings. But of course, nothing happened. In fact, Joker was a surprise huge hit, being the first R-rated movie in history to make $1 billion. With only a budget of around 55 to 70 million. And I love Joker. I think it's a great film. But of course, the Joker being a massive success, Warner Brothers wanted a sequel. But Joker's director, Todd Phillips, said many times that he did not want to do a sequel to Joker. But he said if he could come up with a great idea, then he would make a sequel. Same goes for Joaquin Phoenix. In 2022, a sequel to Joker was announced, meaning that Tom was came up with a pretty good idea and Joaquin liked it too. Lady Gaga joined as Harley Quinn. Now, I had never seen Lady Gaga in anything else, and I don't really listen to her music, but I was interested to see her take on the character, and I was intrigued to see where they would take the character of Joker. Overall, it seemed like Joker Folie Deux would be another great Joker movie. Arthur Fleck, now in the Arkham State Hospital, stands for trial trying to prove that he's innocent for the events he caused in the first Joker, while also falling in love with fellow inmate Harley Quinn. So now you've seen Joker Folie Deux, what certainly isn't great. I would say it's generally good, although that's very debatable, until the end, which I'll get into later. This movie's biggest problem is that it's mainly just recapping the first Joker. You never go too long without being reminded of the first movie. Something that happened in the first Joker, which in some cases is needed, but this movie does way too much of it. Like, you don't need to rewatch the first Joker in preparation for this one, cause this whole movie is a giant recap of the first Joker. And it makes the film kind of struggle to be its own thing, and not just a sequel to Joker. It doesn't really push the story that much further, and ultimately feels like an unnecessary sequel to a movie that didn't need a sequel. So I guarantee that Todd Phillips only made this so that way Warner Brothers would stop pestering him to make a sequel. And the character of Joker has like a reverse character development. As throughout most of the film, he's just Arthur Fleck, and not actually Joker. And you would think after the first Joker movie, that in a sequel, he would be more Joker than Arthur Fleck. But that's not the case. And we really don't get a whole lot of Joker in this movie. And when we do, it's not that memorable most of the time. A lot of the time, it's just in Arthur's imagination, which can be said for a lot of this movie. He still performed well, it goes for the rest of the cast too, but the character just isn't developed that much. And around the third act, when he actually does get some development, I don't necessarily like it. I can see it going in that direction, but I can just as easily see it not going in that direction. Lady Gaga is good as Harley Quinn, although she doesn't get a lot of time to really shine into all of her acting, mainly just her singing. Harley Quinn doesn't get a lot of development, and we don't get a proper close-off to the character. There are also a handful of new characters that I can pretty much say the same thing for. There's also a few returning characters from the first movie, and while yes, they're acted good, they're not 100% crucial to this story. Except for Gary, which has not only one of my favorite scenes in the first Joker, but what might be the best scene in this movie. And I will say, I do love the opening. It was very fun, and overall just very neat and creative. And a decent chunk of this movie takes place inside a courtroom. And I'm actually a big sucker for courtroom scenes. And while yes, I did think those scenes in this movie were done well, probably some of the best parts of the movie, but at times it got a bit slow and a bit tedious. But I can say that for a handful of scenes in this movie. And yes, this movie is a musical. It does have Joker and Harley cover many classic songs. And I actually think the musical numbers are done well. Visually and cinematography, they are spectacular. And I do think they work half of the time. And the other half, they don't really. But when they do happen, I didn't dislike them. And a good amount of them I actually really liked. But they do slow down the movie. And whenever they do happen, it pretty much stops the movie dead in its tracks. So even though I thought they were done well, they probably shouldn't have been in the movie. This movie shouldn't have been a musical, but this movie is shot incredibly well. Cinematography and visually wise, it looks amazing. It's definitely the best thing about the movie. So overall, Joker Folie Deux is good, but that's debatable. It's not terrible, but it's a very disappointing and honestly anticlimactic sequel. But now we're getting to spoilers. We're pretty much going from the end of the third act to the end of the movie, because that's where this one gets pretty not good. So there's this scene where it's heavily implied that the guards at Arkham grope Joker. Why? It seems like that was the last straw for Arthur deciding he doesn't want to be the Joker. You could have done anything to achieve that. But why in the world would you do that? In my opinion, it comes out of nowhere, and it's just weird. I don't want to see the Joker get raped. Maybe I'm the weird one here, but I don't really want to see that. Continuing on with the group of Joker's followers that blow a hole in the courtroom, and they pretty much kidnap the Joker. And I think that could have worked, but it should have been introduced earlier in the film, because one of the followers does say that the other Jokers are going to cause mayhem on Gotham, which we don't get to see. I feel like more could have been done with that, if we actually got to see that. Maybe that was the entire final third act. And as I said earlier, Harley Quinn doesn't get a proper send-off. She pretty much just leaves Joker. And in the movie, she says to Joker that she is pregnant. And even Joker, in the scene where she leaves him, brings up the fact that she's supposedly pregnant. And she does not acknowledge it and just walks right off. But maybe that also wasn't true, since she lies to Joker a lot in this movie. So maybe Joker 3 will be more Harley Quinn centered, with Joker's baby, which I guess could work. But I still want to see more distinguished sign-off for this character. And then we get to the ending, where Joker gets shanked in prison by a fellow inmate, who we saw a few times in the movie, and he bleeds out on the ground and just dies. That's the end of Joker. He gets shanked and bleeds out. I wouldn't mind if they killed off Joker in this movie. In fact, I think if done right, that could have been a good ending to this movie. Because a big part of the court battle is that if Joker loses, then he's going to be executed. But I guess since the explosion happened in the courtroom, they had to not do that or something. So maybe if like Joker was in like the electric chair and Harley was to like the glass on the other side, maybe like her hand over her stomach because the baby, and they both laugh as Joker gets executed. Something like that. Something more than just getting shanked and bleeding out to death. And in the same scene, the very blurry background, we can see the same inmate taking that knife and carving a smile into his face, like Heath Ledger's Joker. Many people have noticed this, and this has led a lot of people to think that the two Joker movies could be prequels to the Dark Knight trilogy. Which I'll just say, I really hope isn't true. First of all, timeline-wise, that makes no sense. And I think that would take a lot away from Heath Ledger's Joker, revealing that he's just a copycat of Arthur Fleck's Joker. And I am aware that back when Joker came out, Todd Phillips did say that maybe this Joker just gave inspiration for the actual Joker that would go on to fight Batman. And I wouldn't mind that, as long as it's not connected to any previous existing Batman universe. But overall, as I said, I didn't particularly love Joker Folie Deux. I would say it was quite disappointing. Also, if you're enjoying this video, thanks for liking and subscribing, and join the subreddit and the Discord server. Bye guys for now! Bye, it's Thacker.